Yo, what's up, people? This your boy Dante coming to you with another episode of Keeping It a Buck. Look, I need you to do me a big favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and definitely subscribe. Look, to all the people that have subscribed, I want to tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart. I definitely appreciate it, but I'm going to talk about something today. It's very disturbing, and I'm not sure why the Christian community is not saying anything about it, but this Christian dude that is not monetized on YouTube is going to definitely tell the truth. I don't believe in hiding the truth from anyone. The Bible talks about that in Romans, I believe it's in 1 and 18. It talks about how they withhold the truth and unrighteousness out. So therefore, there's people that's walking around here knowing the truth and they're withholding the truth, and I think that is unfair. I think that people need to be honest and be candid with people so they can know the truth and be free. A lot of people are not free because they don't know the truth or they're not adhering to truth. Sometimes I wonder why, I do videos speaking from a guy that lived in homosexuality that, was in it for 25 plus years, and the views that I get is very low, and it's okay, but it's kind of ironic to me that we can see videos that are disparaging and videos that are, disintegrating, that those are perpetuating. Those that emasculate the men, butch up the women, that seems to be okay. So that's what I'm kind of going to talk about today. A pastor in a Christian school was fired, right, for telling the truth. And I'm gonna let you hear it in his own words. You know what I'm saying? Because he's teaching in a Christian school, and then it talks about them having the LGBT agenda. Something wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if it's a Christian school, then they should be speaking on Christian principles, don't you think? But, it's 2021. And so, it's anything goes. And you got this whole attitude of, YOLO, you only live once, that kind of thing. Listen, this life that we're living, trust me, we're going to leave this body, it's true, but we have a spirit that's eternal. And that lets us know that we're really created in the likeness and image of God. And I don't try to be so deep. You know what I'm saying? I try to talk where the common man or common woman can understand, even a child. But I just think that a lot of this stuff that we're seeing going on right now is ludicrous. So I'm gonna pull up this video. Like I said, I'm not proficient with doing videos yet. I'm still learning. I'm trying to do the best I can. But but no, seriously, I'm gonna pull up this video. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up and let you hear this guy, speak for himself. You know what I'm saying? So let me pull up this video real quick. 1 second here. Yeah, there we go. So I'm gonna let you hear the preacher say it for himself. Here we go.
I never ever thought that giving a sermon would lead to me being dismissed and reported for prevent and safeguarding and treated in such a way. It was just so mind-blowing. I was thinking, I'm never going to work again because I've been accused of being a terrorist. This is the sermon I gave in June 2018. But remember that religious belief is just as protected in law as sexual orientation. And no one has the right to discriminate against you or be abusive towards you. I couldn't comprehend how I'd done anything so wrong that I needed to be suspended. Ruffled a few feathers, maybe, but then as a Christian minister, sometimes that's your job. No one should be discriminated against simply for who he or she is. There was not a word of violence. I wasn't stirring up anything except respect. When ideologies compete, we should not descend into abuse. We should respect the beliefs of others. I meant what I said. Respect people you disagree with. Love your neighbour. And the fact that in this day and age, a sermon should be deemed effectively blasphemous by other people. It would just never have occurred to me before this happened that could be something that would happen in 21st century Britain, which I thought was a liberal, tolerant society.
Now you see it for yourself, right? You see the dude was talking about, or the minister or the reverend, the pastor, whatever you want to title him as. I was saying basically that he spoke truth, then they call him and label him a terrorist. How in the whole heaven and hell is this dude a terrorist? Because he's preaching or teaching from a book, a document, whatever you want to call it. I call it the word, but preaching from the word that he's a terrorist. I thought America was, established on religious freedoms. But yet and still, if you say anything about Jesus, it's a problem. Now, I don't understand how in the world um, you could talk about being a Muslim, a Mason, a Buddhist, you know, whatever you want to be, Scientology, all those different things can be pushed. But as soon as you say something about Christ, it's a problem. Now, this is my thing. Go with me. Is that the thing is when it comes down to believers, I think it's all about the method. And again, I'm not sitting up here saying we change the message. No, we don't dilute the message. The message stays the same. But we have to figure out a method of getting our message across. And I think that's what we run into a problem with, because I think that our messaging sometimes is misconstrued by our method, if that makes sense. So sometimes the way we come at people when we say, well, if you live in a gay lifestyle or if you're doing any kind of sin, then you're going to hell. Okay, that is a judgment that has been put there. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to hell because they're in sin, because the Bible lets us know, I believe it's in Romans 6:23, if I'm not mistaken, is that the wages of sin is death, but that changes everything. Before that, it says, but the gift of God is eternal life. So we got to understand that God has given us eternal life for those that believe. Those that believe, but a lot of people don't believe. We'll believe Dr. Fauci, Joe Biden, Donald Trump. We'll believe everybody else except what God has said. And we got to know what God has done, and what God created was perfect. It was a great thing, because how is it that everything can create after its own time, but yet we have humans saying, you know, we have to push this agenda. Even if you looked at the video, it even says in there that he was going against the LGBTQ agenda in a Christian school. Is this where we at now? This is where we're mixing the holy with the profane. And I'm just calling it what it is. I know a lot of people don't like to hear this kind of truth, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to stop telling the truth to these people. I want people to know the truth. And my question is to you is, when will we listen? And another question is, why won't we listen? You got people that has experienced a certain life or a certain lifestyle, and they tell you the truth about it, but some people just got the experience on their own. I'm gonna go to another video that was this former transgender activist spoke out and was saying the agenda of some of these doctors that I believe that are demonically indoctrinated, because they are pushing a narrative and is really going against our creation. And it's ironic to me that they have kids, and I'm quite sure they wouldn't want their kids to go through the change that they're trying to perpetuate or push on other people. I think it's a lot have to do with money. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of money to change what God has ordained. So let's go to video number 2, and let's go ahead and pull that up real quick here. Let's see. Let's go here. Share screen again. Here we go. Share screen. Let's go.
They want to get the boys while they're still in school, because they'll probably still be living at home. The parents can help with the extensive aftercare that takes months, and it's extremely intensive, and lots can go wrong. Because when they're 18, they want to go out and party, they're at college or something, and more things go wrong. So can you imagine the doctors are thinking, how can we get to them before they're 18 and have these genital surgeries? So it's really, the barn doors are wide open. I mean, really, they're just going for broke. And society is sort of indoctrinated to now think this is human rights. And I don't want to say the wrong thing here. I mean, I can hardly imagine what doctors must be thinking. I mean, just general practitioners around the country who refer their patients to the gender clinics. These are people who are trained to be critical and to have differential diagnoses. I mean, you can't read everything they can't keep up with the latest of this in the papers. Do they just say, well, I'm surprised to hear you have that this is true, that people can have an innate gender identity and actually be the opposite sex, and that it's fine to put them through these surgical changes. But I'll go along with it because I don't have time to read all of science or look at it critically. But as I say, if you look at it critically, very critically, you can see right through the spin and just see they're talking about A, D, and B and C are missing, but somehow A is now connected to D. So anyway, I think you get the idea for what I'm saying. The science is complete junk, and people go along with it just because they don't know how to assess bias in a study, and what's the value of this, evidentiary value of this, and how likely is it to be just complete crap? Well, it's really likely, and the sort of tendency in people to want to do the right thing, whether they're liberal or conservative. They want to do the right thing. They can't keep up with everything. It's pretty surprising, but we've had a lot of societal changes. So, okay, everybody's transgender. You can be transgender, non-binary, whatever. This is all a bunch of nonsense, and we have to stop it. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of children now are going through this.
Now,
So,
y'all heard for yourself what this that means. Shut up. This video will let me be great, but hey, look, this is real live. And the thing is that real talk. I probably will not do much editing to this because I love to be authentically real. I don't like the fake anything, but that just tickled me because I'm trying to talk and this thing is still talking in the background. But anywho, the links I'm gonna put them below so you can see them in their full, their full length. To see is everything that's going on. That first video was a full video, but the second video was like 13 minutes and 48 seconds. You definitely want to take a look at that. And then I want to show this one with Rachel Levine when her and Rand Paul, or him and Rand Paul, whatever you want to call it, was having their banter back and forth. And Rand Paul wanted to say some very interesting things, and I think that people need to realize that. And listen, again, people need to stop this foolishness with, well, if you say something about the LGBTQ that you hate them, or if you say something about whatever, that it's hate speech. It's not hate speech. It's called you being able to have the freedom of speech. So, I mean, if I say something that you don't agree with, then it's okay. I mean, that's how we have dialogue. That's how we learn from each other, by sometimes disagreements. Sometimes the disagreements is where we can find a place of agreement, and then we can make better decisions. But as you heard this former transgender activist say, she said, that, I think it's she, but they said, let's put it that way, they said that it's junk science, it's totally biased. It's one-sided. And then people running around here with this, talking about this sexual dysphoria, this identity or sexual identity dysphoria, and I'm gonna talk about that probably on the Thursday episode. I'm gonna talk about, dysphoria, period, because I don't think that people really have a gender dysphoria. I think that people have an identity dysphoria, and I'm gonna talk about that from my perspective. How that is crossing, lines into straight communities, gay communities, whatever. People have a dysphoria. And a dysphoria is basically confusion. That's what it boils down to. So again, I'm not here to bash anyone, but I am going to tell the truth. I just think that it's unfortunate that we have a lot of these young kids, and I think that, even the former activists were saying that, hey, they're trying to cut them off at the path. They're basically saying, hey, you know what, if we get them early, then, their parents can help, take care of them. But it makes me want to ask questions to the parents, like, what kind of mindset do you have where you will allow your child to do that? Maybe you don't want to be a grandparent. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But if you do by any means want to be a grandparent, you still got to do it God's way. I mean, you're going to still need a egg. You're going to need sperm, period. So I don't understand why people are going through all these changes. And I even seen where this lady was saying that with Caitlyn Jenner, aka Bruce Jenner, that he was transphobic. How in the whole heaven and hell Can somebody be transphobic and they're transgender? Some people just say idiotic things, but that's a different story for a different day. Let's go to the Rand Paul and Rachel Levine or Ricky or Ronnie Levine, um, back and forth banter. I'm going to get there in about 2 seconds. Let's go.
Mistake, but was led to believe this was a good thing by the medical community. I made a brash decision as a teenager, as a lot of teenagers do, trying to find confidence and happiness, except now the rest of my life will be negatively affected, she said, adding that the medicalized gender transitioning was a very temporary, superficial fix for a very complex identity issue. What I'm alarmed at is that you're not willing to say absolutely minors shouldn't be making decisions to amputate their breast or to amputate their genitalia. For most of our history, we believe that minors don't have full rights and the parents need to be involved. So I'm alarmed that you won't say with certainty that minors should not have the ability to make the decision to take hormones that will affect them for the rest of their life. Will you make a more firm decision on whether or not minors should be involved in these decisions?
Senator, transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field, and if confirmed to the position of Assistant Secretary of Health, I would certainly be pleased to come to your office and talk with you and your staff about the standards of care and the complexity of this field.
Let it go into the record that the witness refused to answer the question. The question is a very specific one. Should minors be making these momentous decisions? For most of the history of medicine, we wouldn't let you have a cut sewn up in the ER, but you're willing to let a minor take things that prevent their puberty, and you think they get that back? You give a woman testosterone enough that she grows a beard, you think she's going to go back looking like a woman when you stop the testosterone? You have permanently changed them. Infertility is another problem. None of these drugs have been approved for this. They're all being used off-label. I find it ironic that the left that went nuts over hydroxychloroquine being used possibly for COVID are not alarmed that these hormones are being used off-label. There's no long-term studies. We don't know what happens to them. We do know that there are dozens and dozens of people who've been through this who regret that this happened and a permanent change happened to them. And, if you've ever been around children, 14-year-olds can't make this decision. In the gender dysphoria clinic in England, 10% of the kids are between the ages of 3 and 10. We should be outraged that someone's talking to a 3-year-old about changing their sex. I can't vote for you if you can't.
Thank you so much, Senator Paul. Senator Levine, thank you for.
Can somebody really, really help invest in stupidity blockers? We talk about puberty blockers. Man, we need stupidity blockers. We need people to stop being so dumb and so stupid and so controlled by the narrative or being afraid to speak truth to power. Again, we got people like Rachel Levine that was married, had kids, and then in old age, I would say, now you think you're a woman because you have a wig on. I don't even know if they went through the whole surgery or if they just dressed like a woman. I don't know. But at the end of the day is that if you want to make that individual decision on your own, do that. Just don't try to push it on everybody else. Again, as Rand Paul was grilling her like a cheeseburger, they kept talking about the same points. They kept basically repeating what was said. They never said what was wrong or, if it should be an individual's decision. It's kind of like, well, kids having a thought, then they should just go with their thoughts. I mean, like some days I think about, like I said before, thinking about robbing a bank when money get low. Am I going to do it? No. Sometimes I think about just slapping people for being stupid. Do I do that? No. But yet and still, we have people pushing these kind of narratives, and we'll listen to that kind of foolishness, and we'll deem it truth. Because the doctor said, like we have Dr. Fauci that went from don't wear a mask, wear a mask, to now get vaccinated, still wear a mask. We have all this stupidness, and people are falling for the narrative. But one time, don't wear a mask. Now he's saying wear 2 or 3 masks, and people doing this craziness. Nobody wants to listen to truth. And there's a thing I think that what happened to mankind is that when God told mankind not to do nothing or not to do something, the mankind made a decision, because God gave us all free will, is that they made a decision that I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to listen to what God said. I'm going to listen to what the serpent said, that really is my enemy. I'm going to listen to my enemy before I listen to my friend. Ain't it ironic that we'll listen to negativity and negative statements about people before we listen to something positive? I mean, come on, man. I mean, real talk. When you look at the what Satan did in the Garden of Eden, he basically told Eve that God didn't say what he said, or he took it and he left certain things out. He said, you know, the day that you eat of this fruit, you won't surely die. He knew that she wasn't just going to drop dead, but spiritually she was going to die. And then the thing was, not only did he beguiled or tricked Eve, because Eve wasn't there when God gave Adam the command not to eat of the fruit or eat off the tree of good and evil, or the tree of knowledge. And he did that anyway. He went along with his wife. And a lot of us are going along and playing along to get along, because we feel like there's benefits that we get from going along to get along, instead of going against a narrative and saying, hey, no, what God said is what God said. And even if I don't agree with it, it doesn't change the fact that he said it. Now, I'm not the one to say I don't agree with what God says. My flesh sometimes say, no, it's got to be a different way. But at the end of the day, what God said is what God said. And I believe that his word is true. That's just me. I believe it because I know what transformation has taken place in my life. So if we're going to talk about being trans, we need to be talking about being transformed into the image of Christ. And the one thing about Christ is that he was not out here hating on nobody. I know a lot of people say, well, Christ never said anything about homosexuality, but yet he did. As he said, marriage was between a man and woman, a woman with a womb. So let's just keep it a buck. You know, I'm going to share 2 scriptures with you, and I'll be out the way. I think this probably going to be one of the shortest videos I ever did. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm going to share some scriptures with you, because I just really think that we need to see where we are right now. Okay? So let's go here. Share screen. This is what Romans 1:27 through 29 says. And it says, and likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of a woman, burn in their lust one towards another. Men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving unto themselves recompense of the error which was meet. Let me tell you something real quick, is that what people don't realize that a lot of men, and it has been, I believe, studied that men that have had, that just keep it real, anal sex with other men, that they have a lot of problems when it comes to their prostate, things of that nature. And you can't take something called sperm, that is a living thing that creates life, and put it in a dead place, which we know that's when we have a bowel movement, that's basically, you know, dead things coming out of us. So some of the things that some of the men have received, the Bible says, is that they received to themselves the recompense of their error, which was meet, which means it was fair. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of us have gotten, you know, into situations that God gave us many opportunities to get out of. I see a lot of TV shows like Fatal Attraction and different, you know, shows of, you know, where they had certain clues and certain things that God put out there to let them know that, hey, maybe you need to get out of this situation. They stayed in it, and what happened was what happened. And I'm not saying that people dying is a good thing. I'm just saying that we have to take into consideration the things that we do in our body. And then verse 28 says, even as they did not retain God in their knowledge, God gave them up to a reprobate mind to do things which were not convenient. This is a thing. This is what we are, is that you got people that's getting a lot of knowledge, which is a good thing. Knowledge is power. But the thing is, we have to retain God in our knowledge. We got to retain. That means to keep, to remember, you know, the knowledge of God. There are certain things that God said that is just going to work, and there's some things that God said is not going to work. You can't put a man and a man together if you're going to create another being. You can't put woman and woman together if you're going to create another being. But they're telling you that even if they're saying that transgender women And transgender men can give birth because a woman that says she's a man and she looks like a man and she gets pregnant, they say that it's a man giving birth. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? So that really goes against the knowledge of God. But, you know, again, people will do what they want to do. It says, and being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, malice, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, and whispers. I think I need to go on to verse 32 because I think there's something missing. I don't want to take things out of context. Let me see if verse 30 here. It says backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of things, evil things rather, and disobedient to parents. I think there's more. Come on now. I'm really trying to hit this video, but it's like more and more keep coming up. Okay, let's see it. Without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, and there's more. Should have pulled it all up before I went there, but I didn't know it was going to be there. It says, "Who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them." So this is what we see right now. We see right now in these days and times that verse 29 through verse 32, we got people that are fornicating like crazy. We got people that is just completely wicked. They covetous. They want everything everybody got. They want to do everything everybody else is doing. And God created us individual. God created us to be different. All of us have different DNA for a reason, which means we're supposed to all be different and all, you know, we come to the same mindset on certain things, but at the same time, we're all different and we should be embracing that difference and not trying to be like everybody else. Full of envy. I mean, you just green because somebody doing better than you. That's crazy. We have murdering. I mean, the murder rates are just stupid. Everybody's debating stuff. We debating everything. We debating if white people are racist or if black people are oppressed. We just got a lot of debates going on. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask, get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated, BK, be sure. We just got so many things going on. We're debating these things. And you know, people are deceitful. They're whispers. They're talking behind people's backs. You know, malignity. They backbiters. They're haters of God. Like if you say anything about God, this video will prove that people don't really like God. If I was on here just talking about I was a gay man and I slept with gay pastors or I slept with a pastor or whatever, and it's something was salacious, then we'll have a lot of views and a lot of clicks and whatever the case may be. But they're haters of God, which God is truth, right? Despiteful, boasters, they're proud. I'm gonna tell you something. And we know that with the homosexuality community, they have, which is coming up, I believe in June, gay pride. So they're very prideful. I just have a lot of pride. But pride comes before a fall, and we got to understand that. It says they're boasters, man. Look at how much money I got. Look what kind of car I drive. Look at the woman that's on my arm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look what kind of shoes I'm wearing. Look at my bank account. Things like that. You know, it's just a lot going on. They're inventors of evil things, man. They got people inventing things like the COVID-19, and they got that pushed out there, and they're vendors of things of evil. You know what I'm saying? They're disobedient to parents. We're seeing kids now cussing their parents out like it's nobody's business just because they don't agree with what they want to do. It's up to the parent to raise the kid to be productive adults, not just adults, but to be productive. And I think that, you know, a lot of these parents have created these little monsters, and that's why they can tell them, Mom, I want to be a girl, and Mom goes along with it. And Dad, you know, because he wanted to be able to continue to have sex with his wife or not get divorced, or whatever the case may be, he goes along with that, which is ludicrous to me and complete lunacy. But, you know, that's a different story for a different day. People don't even care about understanding no more. It's just like if it don't fit with my narrative, who cares? I mean, I don't want to understand. Covenant breakers, people making vows to stay married to you, to death do us part, sickness and health, for better, for worse, for rich, or poor. Man, they breaking these covenants. We've been breaking covenants with God. We have pastors that say they want to preach the truth and they don't. They went away from that. We see people without natural affection. Natural affection is just not always sexually, but think about it. You have mothers at one time that really love their kids. They really care about their kids. That's what we get the term the mother bear from, because a mother bear will protect their cubs. But we have parents now that will give up their kids for drugs or a man or a woman or the things of this world. And it's crazy. So natural affections doesn't always necessarily mean that is, which it does, incorporate that, but it doesn't always mean that, men will leave their natural affection for one woman or vice versa. So there go the scripture. You can see it there. I'm not going to try to break it all down because I don't want to turn this into a Bible study lesson. I just want to kind of, just get some insight. Let's go over here to this one right here. It says in 2 Timothy 4:3-4, it says, "For the time will come where they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they will turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned to fables." Where we are right now, we see people don't want to hear sound doctrine. They don't want to hear anything that makes sense. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to hear anything that makes sense? I know I do. I mean, I love knowledge and I understand wisdom. I understand all those things, and I like to learn. And I understand why people want to learn a lot or live with a lot versus hearing the truth and stand with that. And it says, and they heap to themselves teachers. They surround themselves around people that's going to teach them what their ears want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I believe as humans, we like that because we don't want to because there's something about us in our nature to where we don't want to be wrong or we want to feel like we're better than somebody else. So if we got a preacher or a teacher that's teaching what we want to hear, then it never makes us come to a place of accountability. And I think that is a disservice to everybody. I think that if you have a preacher like my pastor, he actually made me become more accountable to what I was doing, right or wrong. He made me become more accountable. Like I said, I sat in the church for 10 years of a world-renowned gospel singer and now preacher, and sung in the choir and everything else. And I was never challenged to do better. So these are things that we have to take into consideration. And it says that they have an itch in ears. People just want to hear things that are salacious. Nobody want to hear truth anymore. And this last one, it says that they turn away their ears from truth and shall be turned into paper. So now what we're seeing is people they like little fairy tale stories. They don't want truth. They want to hear what makes them feel good or what is the mainstream narrative. One thing about a believer, even if you look in the Bible, they never went along with it, with the Pharisees and the scribes and the Sadducees. They never went along with that. They went the opposite. And this is why Christ is crucified, because Christ did not go along with the narrative. There were certain customs and rules and regulations and religion had been taught by the Pharisees that Jesus went against. And this is why they, conspired with and colluded with the Romans and what happened. Christ was crucified, but they thought that was where the story was going to end. And because of that sacrifice he did on Calvary, here we are. So again, I'm not going to go into much more. I think this video probably went about 30 minutes long. I really didn't intend for it to be that long. And I just want to show you a shirt I made, and some people probably will be offended, but I don't care. It says, born gay or in any other sin, be born again. And it's got John 3:3 on it. So the thing is, a lot of people running around here. I was born gay, and I got another T-shirt that was done as well, saying that I was born gay, and it's got on there, "Be born again." And the thing is, regardless of what kind of sin you was born in, because David even said that he was shaping in iniquity, he was born into sin. All of us was in his flesh, was born into a sinful world, but does not mean that our spirit has to be tainted or our minds have to be tainted, because Christ has given us, we can take on the mind of Christ, and we can also have a renewed mind, and we also can have a regenerated spirit by what Christ did on the cross and by us believing in him. So if you don't know Christ, it's simple. Just ask him to come into your heart. Recognize that he died for your sins, that he rose on the third day. And the Bible says if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart, you are saved. And so being saved doesn't mean that you'll be, without sin, or you won't make mistakes, or you won't fall, because you will. But the thing is, it's good to know that we have grace that he gives us to get back up and get back in the race. You've never seen anybody running the marathon just because they fall, stop. They get back up and they continue to run. And we got to understand that this race that we're in is not really a sprint. It's a marathon. And a marathon, we know, it's a pretty long run, but it is what it is. So to you all, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Again, like, subscribe, share the video. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that people like myself, again, that's speaking from, especially being in the gay community, and because they're pushing this so strongly on everybody, that people need to hear voices like myself, to understand that God's power is not limited, it's unlimited. And God can do any and everything if we trust and believe in him. So y'all stay up and y'all stay blessed, all right? Peace out.